Okay, let's see how the day is starting out in the grain market. Corn off to a 5.25 cent lower start of the day here on the September. December's down 5 at 375.5, and so we're weak all the way across the board here. 4.5 to 5.5 cents lower for the front 5 contracts of the corn market. September soybeans down 7 at 860.25. November down 7 also at 872.75. Over the wheat market, we're just about in line with where we were last night on the overnight trade. September Chicago wheat down 3.75 at 467. Kansas City wheat down 4.75 at 389.5 on the September. The September Minneapolis wheat down 1.5 at 505.5. Let's check December cotton this morning. We are kind of mixed here this morning. Down 3 points at 60.09. Mr. Dewey Strickler is here with us. He's with Ag Watch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. Good morning, Dewey. That we've got a lot of moving and shaking this week as far as the crop condition ratings and what the tour may see. We'll have those crop condition ratings this afternoon. Has the trade been talking anything about what they're expecting? Because last week we were basically left unchanged.
Yeah, that's right. I think the trade is generally looking for maybe to be about 1 point higher up on both corn and beans because of some rain that we had here over the weekend. And, of course, as you alluded to, there is a crop tour going on here. Trade will be looking to see what the results of that are going to work out. And also, too, I guess more politically, President Trump said over the weekend that he was not willing to or ready to make a deal with China yet, even if they are. So, we got a few moving parts going on here.
What's your feel, Dewey? Is there a way to kind of get a feeling for if we've got a 169.5 bushel the acre crop built into this price already? Or certainly there's a lot more talk about yield than there is acres at this point. How do you feel? Are we pretty well balanced here between what the USDA's report said and the price, or do you think that there's still a landslide that could happen one way or the other?
I don't think there's a landslide. Last week, of course, the funds had some long positions on. They dumped about 205 million. They're long about 90 million bushels here. Now, back in June, they were long 740. So they may be squeezed out a few more positions here, but it seems like we pretty well have wrung the water out of this thing pretty well.
Can we say the same thing then about the soybeans as well?
I think you can here. The bean market actually looks a little bit better technically than what the corn market does here right now.
Which is kind of interesting that the technicals are still having an influence on all of this. Certainly seems to be a very weather and headline-driven market at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You looked at about a little over a month ago, and corn had the best technicals. Now that has kind of switched here a little bit.
Dewey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to get your thoughts on how this livestock market is opening and what it may mean for this week. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment here on the Market Day Report. Let's check the numbers as the protein complex gets underway for this Monday. August live cattle up $1.30 at 101.22. October up 128 at 99.33. The December's up $1.02 as well. Feeder cattle market this morning, it's on the higher side as well, with August up $1.73 at 136.30. September up $1.88 at 134.25. The October up $1.68. We are working in expanded limits on the hog market today. October, though, is up 88 after Friday's limit down close, 62.88. December up 55 at 61.33. This contract got within one tick. In fact, it actually went out and touched limit lower, and then it pulled back and stopped one tick away from it. The February is up 30 at 68.33. So, Dewey, a little bit of a rebound over here in the hog complex this morning.
Yeah, I think it's just probably a dead cat bounce here right now. Trade's going to be obviously looking to see if there's any exports develop here with China this week. They're also looking here at possible record supply here coming in the month of September. That's going to have to be absorbed. Technically, the market looks like we still got some more on the downside.
What about this? Japan says that they have increased their pork production by 15% since the beginning of this year in anticipation of the demand increasing from Vietnam and China. Can that have any effect on the United States pork market?
Well, it could have some impact as far as the exports is concerned. If they are increasing production, that's going to mean fewer pigs that'll likely be going toward to Japan there.
Now let's move on to this cattle market, Dewey. I want to get your thoughts over here. We actually processed 9,000 more head this last week than we did the week prior. The beef cutouts really incentivize these packing plants to really step up their game and soak up that 6% slack that Tyson plant in Holcomb left with all of that. So there are some this morning thinking maybe that this, and they've used this word this morning already, that cattle market was overdone to the downside last week. Well,
I still think we're dealing with the plant closure there in Holcomb here. We still got to, I think this week will likely tell us how we're going to be able to absorb all this. Technically, it looks like this market still could edge down just a little more here.
So if it would edge down, could that set the precedent for maybe some buyers to come back to this market, depending on what the outside markets are doing and depending on how well this market or how well the industry seems to be rebounding or handling this setback?
I think it could. I think, right now we're looking at a lot of analysts and traders like to see the cattle market get its land legs back, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Dewey, thank you very much. Dewey Strickler here this morning with Ag Watch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. Let's look at the dollar as we kick off this Monday as well. The dollar last night on the overnight trade was just slightly higher. We're up 100 points this morning, Janet. We're trading at 98.100 so far, and the December's up about 300 or about 30 points.
All right. Thank you very much, John.